Tonight we spent some time reflecting on the fixes we've made so far. Yes, of course, we are now going to spend a little bit of time reflecting, or rather, I am so far, and I did one of these episodes earlier on with this Fixing D20 Modern series I've been running, but, well, with how busy the last couple of weeks have been for me, and just everything going on, I have not been able to quite keep up as well as I'd hoped. Some schedule changes in my recording has helped with all of that, but this week, unfortunately, I just was not able to produce a video for Fixing D20 Modern. I'm still working out some of the kinks and details and jotting down some more ideas, basically looking at what spells should be added in, or at least I think would be fun to add into D20 Modern. Not necessarily homebrew stuff, but stuff from 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons or out of Pathfinder, different Pathfinder versions of those spells, just because I think they can add a certain something overall to the game without breaking it too much. But that'll be for next Sunday, ideally. But so far, in digging into this game, this is probably the first time I've ever gotten to go so in-depth and so much detail for such an extended period of time, working through and collating together all the different ideas I've had, through all the different things I've read online. Not that there's been a whole lot of guides online for fixing, tweaking, or adjusting D20 Modern necessarily, but still, reading through other people's ideas, their thoughts, what they saw as flaws for D20 Modern overall, and what people thought worked great, kind of bringing all that together with my own experiences, some of the things my players and I have come up with. It's been an interesting journey so far, trying to tweak and adjust such a broken game. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, I think the reason why I find the game so fun is just because I have so much nostalgia and experience wrapped up in it. And that's why I'm spending so much time tweaking and adjusting it, if not to balance better, at least to make the classes feel a bit more fun and differentiated from one another, and make the rules just kind of work and tick along quite a bit better. There's some other things that I still need to cover, like vehicle movement rules, and then of course we have everything from the future book that I haven't really dug into too terribly much yet. There's been a few things here or there, I think, but anyways, still, there's plenty more to dig into, and I think I plan on continuing to do so for a while. Maybe I'll take a break at some point, but having spent this much time tweaking, adjusting, and fixing, and patching where I can, it really is. I can't say this and stress it enough. The game is kind of busted. There's a lot of good ideas there. A lot of different things that Wizards of the Coast was trying to do, playing around with and experimenting, but, you can see where it didn't quite come together like it should have. Which is, on the one hand, unfortunate because it is fun overall, and I think it's something that a lot of different groups could embrace and utilize and make use of at their tables, or even just outright throw the game in and start having fun with the D20 Modern rule set. And one of the things that I see in there, having played around with it so much now, is one of the biggest criticisms is that the base classes feel so ill-defined. A lot of characters don't really feel distinct until you get into their advanced classes, and even then, a gunslinger is a gunslinger is a gunslinger. There's not really a whole lot to separate them without using some of the supplementary books like Urban Arcana, Past, Future, Apocalypse. Those things will kind of help to influence how the character takes shape, but again, that's as much due to setting as it is an ability to customize the characters. So that's definitely a fair and legitimate complaint. Not going to deny that by any stretch of the imagination. But the reason for it is, though, at least what I believe now, after, again, doing all of this work is that was intentional. The idea was that you would take it and tweak and customize here and there. Try to make things feel a little bit more fleshed out and setting appropriate. As you take a strong hero and put him in Apocalypse, that's going to look very different from Future, from Past, from etc., etc. All these different kinds of settings that you could possibly have these characters in. And so I believe that was the intention there, is just to help make the base classes feel generic enough that they could be transplanted into all of these different settings. But at the same time, none of these supplementary books had any recommendations really for adjusting those character classes as you went along, because the character classes do a lot to define the characters themselves as much as the players do, investing time in developing their personalities, throwing those personalities into the fore through skill selections and feats and how they approach things. It just all feels very bland and generic, and there's not a whole lot of help or suggestions in tweaking and adjusting things. Now, I don't know that I've done that too terribly much. I think I've successfully made some successful fixes to that, like adding in the sneak attack talent tree for the fast hero, so that way you can end up with a character who's more defensively oriented going through the defense talent tree, or has that more offense kind of a setup going into sneak attack. And then you still have fast movement, which, I mean, yeah, that can kind of tell you a little bit about a character's personality. Either they're cowardly or fairly, actually incredibly athletic, but, you know, it's not the best talent. But anyways, you get the idea. The talents that you select should also kind of inform your character's personality, and that customizability there is useful, but you want to make sure that that it's not bland and is able to come across well. And then digging into magic and going through all the different advanced classes, that's actually been a lot of fun. I've had a great time putting that together. And several of the classes, I'll be upfront and admit, I was coming up with the class abilities on a week-to-week basis for some of them. Other than the classes that I felt like didn't need to be fixed, like Thrasher and Shadow Slayer. Those classes are totally fine. And then, of course, you have other classes that I haven't touched on that are just, they're okay. They're not great like Thrasher and Shadow Slayer, but they're not busted like the techie was. Like your martial artist, soldier, gunslinger. Those three classes in particular, those are fine classes. You're not going to go wrong picking those. You're not going to be mechanically shooting yourself in the foot, making a character who's just absolutely useless with the rules as written. They're fine. They could be better, but they're not bad either. You're not going to hurt yourself any. There's just, I don't know. It's one of those things where there are so many classes, and with how the books were kind of getting pumped out there for a while, it's like, I can kind of see where maybe they didn't have quite as much time testing. Whereas, me digging into this, I've had the benefit of, when did Modern come out? It was like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. Yeah, I've had 20 some odd years of playing around with this, so it's with the benefit of hindsight and experience, able to kind of drum things up, and it's been a fun journey so far, and seems like a lot of you folks have been enjoying going down this road with me, and I massively appreciate that you have taken all this time. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up there, though, because it's 4 a.m. I've got to get to bed. There's a wedding on, hence why I have been behind in trying to get things put together. You may have noticed some other changes, which I will talk about in hopefully a midweek channel update, announcement, whatever kind of thing. So, everybody stay tuned. Look forwards to all of that. I will try to keep things on track and on schedule as best I can, but we'll see how everything shakes out. with all that said, we're going to call it here. Did you enjoy today's video? Go on down in the comments and let me know your thoughts down below. Hit the like or dislike button and I'll be more than happy to engage in conversation with all of you fine folks. And if you haven't done so already, go on down there, hit the subscribe button and become a regular member and join the rest of the alumni here at the Gamer's Den. But with that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so much for your time, and you have yourselves a good night.